Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the next edition of Live from QCP. This is the Development Department's weekly series to introduce you to QCP's managers and to have them tell you about the goings on in their department and why you should consider working for QCP. This week we have Jack Lopes, who is the Assistant Director of Vocational Services, and I'd like to introduce Jack to you now. So, Jack, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Alex. Good morning, everybody.
Okay. So today we are going to hear from you about sorry, there we go. There's your title. Okay, we're going to hear from you today about the vocational services program. So, Jack, why don't you just give us a description of what the department does and what kind of services it offers individuals?
Sure. So, under the Vocational Services Department, we have two different branches. We have the Community Pre-Voc program and we have the Supported Employment program. So, in Community Pre-Voc, it's more geared towards individuals who don't really have any work experience but are interested in starting a career of work. And through Community Pre-Voc, we go out to various sites throughout the community and volunteer. We have sites from recycling centers to churches to community centers to food pantries. And out in the community, individuals get that real life experience that they would need to be successful at a job site.
And what are some of the kind of
Um,
jobs that they're involved with?
so it really depends on their interests and what's available for the day. On any given day, they have a choice from 10 to 13 different work sites that they could choose from. And like I said, if it's churches, they would work on things like, you know, it's really soft skills that they would need to be successful out in the community, but they also do things like sweeping, cleaning, things that the church may need. If they're at a food pantry, they would be divvying out food in bags for distribution, or depending on the day, they may also be interacting with individuals in the community, giving them out food in bags, interacting with the community and getting them that experience and that exposure that they wouldn't get if they were in a program inside.
And what are some of the companies that have hired individuals that have gone through the training or
So in our
that
supported
continue to receive
employment
training? Because there's a job coach too that goes with them. But what are
correct,
some of
yeah.
those companies?
So in our supported employment program, some of the places that we have people placed right now, we have a lot of people throughout Queens in Stop and Shops, ShopRites, Home Depots, Applebee's. We have jobs, various different jobs in the airport system. We also have people scattered in throughout the New York City Board of Education.
Okay. And
So it's really based on what the individual's interests are and how we could align their job skills and their strengths and their interests together.
okay. And what are some of the job titles and the duties of the people who support these individuals?
So in Community Prevoke, we have Prevoke trainers who would be responsible for assigning work and training hands-on training for the day out in the community. They're also Prevoke specialists who work with the entire team to organize and implement a plan for the individual on how that they could achieve those long-term goals that they have going forward. In supported employment, we have job developers who are our shining stars and get out there and do the grunt work of finding jobs for individuals to apply for. We have job coaches who are also amazing. I mean, everyone in the team, has their strengths there, but job coaches go out to these work sites on a daily basis, and they make sure that they talk to management and the individual to find out how everything is going, and they're responsible for maintaining and doing the work to make sure that that job is both satisfactory for management and the individual. And on top of that, we have supervisors, supported employment supervisors, who work with their team of coaches and make sure that the monthly documentation is in order, um, and also assist on implementing and writing up those monthly plans.
So what's it been like over the past year with the pandemic and, in charge of everything in terms of how, how it's affected the on-site work and even the training itself, the pre-vocational training?
It has been challenging. I mean, I think it's an understatement to say it's been a challenge for everyone. But we've been very, very lucky in terms of the sites that we work with community pre-voc and the places that we have individuals placed through supported employment where, there was a period of time in the very beginning where everything was shut down for community pre-voc, but the sites that we volunteer at were really eager to get us back as soon as possible, and we are back at those sites, thankfully. And in terms of supported employment, we never really stopped. We went full steam ahead, and the individuals really took the challenge, and they understood that there was safety measures that had to take place. In the very beginning, everybody was wearing gloves and masks, but even till today, it's a challenge, but it's a challenge that everyone seems to be stepping up towards and getting the work done.
About how many people, individuals that is, are you serving or are working in the volunteer settings and then in the supported employment settings?
Right now, we're about, I would say, 60 people per day at the volunteer sites, and through supported employment, we serve over 130 people through Queens. Um, yeah, but at one point right before the pandemic, we were at about 80 people in our community pre-vote program. So and slowly as time goes on and things start opening up, everyone's coming back. So we look forward to seeing everybody. If anybody out there is watching, and we'll love to see you guys back soon.
Yeah. What's some of the feedback that you've heard from the employers, the stop and shops, etc., about the individuals that are in the supported employment program?
Stop and Shop. I mean, it's really all the sites. They really appreciate the work that we're putting in, and they they like they like the fact that anyone that they hire comes with an extra set of support. So when you hire someone who doesn't have the support of a job coach or a supported employment program, the burden really falls on management of the store to provide all of the training and all of the oversight. But when you come in with a supported employment program and a team that is helping that individual, not only obtain the job but maintain their job and work towards long-term support skills and goals, management finds that it provides an extra leg of support, and it's not as much of a burden to them.
Okay. So let's move on to the topic of employment. What are some of the jobs that are available? What are and the qualifications that go with those jobs? And what kind of people are you looking for?
So right now we have a few different openings in our community pre-voc program. We're looking for pre-voc trainers. Like I said before, their responsibility is to assign work and train clients on the required tasks for satisfactory completion of the day. And they're also responsible to maintain daily records of attendance and productivity at the site and document how the individual is doing, what were their strengths for the day, what are things that they need to work on. That position requires a high school diploma and a New York City driver's license. Um, I believe you have to have that driver's license for at least 3 years in order to be able to drive for us. The second is pre-voc specialist, and the pre-voc specialist again is th- their duty would be to develop and implement service documents with individuals and their families and their care managers, and maintain a caseload based on the needs of the program. Um, Plan, conduct, and implement the pre-voc plans in order to have these individuals work on their long-term goals. That position requires a bachelor's degree, along with a driver's license, also had to have been held for 3 years. And we also have a position for our supported employment program, and we're currently hiring for a supported employment supervisor. And I guess some of the key roles of that position would be to um, participate and help establish policies for our program and procedures, as well as train and supervise incoming staff and coaches and provide leadership and direction, as well as checking over the monthly documentation that we have, and and provide oversight to coaches. I'm not sure if I'm repeating myself now. Excuse me. That position also requires a bachelor's degree. We would like 3 years of experience working with adults with developmental disabilities. Um, Supervisor experience would also be beneficial, and it's not absolutely required, but having a driver's license and possibly a vehicle would also be beneficial for the person to get around to different work sites.
What are some of the personality traits or personal traits that you consider? What's important to bring to the job besides the technical skills, the work experience, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I think one thing I always say is the most important skill or attribute for a new employee or just anyone on the team really is being a team player and understanding that a lot of the things that we do requires communication and teamwork. Um, we're all working towards helping these individuals achieve their long-term goals, and a lot of times it's not a one person thing. It really requires an entire team to collaborate and understand the different aspects of what's going on.
Okay, great. Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to add? But you've given us a really thorough overview of the supported employment program, the kind of work that the individuals do, where they work, the feedback, and also what positions are open. But is there anything else you'd like to add?
um, I will say that when I started with QCP, I actually started as a pre-voc instructor, and it was a different time, and the pre-voc program was set up differently. But it changed in that sense, but it didn't really change in the sense of who we are as an agency. I started as a pre-voc trainer. From there, went to a pre-voc specialist. From there, went to a pre-voc supervisor, and now as assistant director of supported employment. Um, I will say that if you're looking at our open positions, whether it be in our pre-voc program or any of our other programs, I would say throw your resume into the mix and see how it goes, because our agency, it's like it's I love the work that we do, and working with the team that I've worked with over the years. I haven't worked at any place like this before. It's really it's a supported place where if you're looking at these and you're saying, well, maybe I don't really have any experience in any of these positions. Well, I came on as a pre-voc instructor with no experience, and I would say 8 years later, um, the agency has really helped me develop as a person, and getting to know the individuals that we work with.
So QCP supports the individuals and the employees. So thank you very much for taking the time today, Jack. We really appreciate it. This is being streamed live on QCP's Facebook page, and it's going to be available for everybody to look at after the fact. But I want to thank you again for joining us, Jack. And everybody, we will see you next week for the next edition of QCP Live from QCP. Join us again next week, Fridays at 10. Have a good weekend, everybody. Thank you.